Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. I am Sonam of 4PCC and today I would like to speak or do a video tutorial on the functions of parts of flower which is in science textbook of class 5. Here are the outlines of my topic. Today I'll be covering up on the topic like parts of flower and functions of parts of flower like functions of stigma, style, ovary, ovule, stamen, petals, sepals and pedicels, and lastly receptacles. Here are the parts of flower. As you can see in the picture, the labels and the names alongside the labels like stigma, style and ovary, receptacle, stamen, petals, ovules, sepals and pedicels. Now, flowers have some basic parts. The female part is known as pistil. As you have already seen in the pictures, what are the pistil? Pistil usually is located in the center of the flower and it is made up of three parts, that is stigma, style and ovary. The stigma, style and ovary makes up a pistil which is the female part in the flower. The stigma is the sticky knob at the top of the pistil. It is attached to the long tube-like structure called the style. The style leads to the ovary that contains the female egg cells called ovules. So this is how a female part of the flower is connected with each other and how they function inside a flower. The male part are called as stamen and they usually surround the pistil. The stamen is made out of two parts, anther and filament. The anther produces pollen grains, that is the male reproductive cell, and the filament holds up the anther up. Likewise, in a flower, when there is a female part, so the male part is also present. Now, I'll be talking about the each and every functions of the flower. Firstly, stigma. This is found at the top of the style. It forms the head of the pistil. The stigma contains a sticky substance whose job is to catch pollen grains from different pollinators or those dispersed through the wind. They are responsible to begin the process of fertilization. To form another plant, the process of fertilization is important. So, for the process of fertilization, stigma is the beginner of the process. Style is a long cylinder stalk that holds the stigma. Once the pollen reaches the stigma, the style starts to become hollow and forms a tube called the pollen tube, which takes the pollen to the ovaries to enable fertilization. After reaching the pollen grains on top of the stigma, the pollens are transferred through the style, that is from the tube called pollen tube. Ovary. In the flowering plant, an ovary is a part of the female reproductive organ of the flower. Specifically, it is the part of the pistil which holds the ovules. Ovules are the egg cells of the flower and it is located above or below or at the point of connection with the base of the pistil or sepals. So when the pollen grains is transferred through the style, it reaches to the ovary for fertilization. Now ovules. These are the egg cells of a flower. They are contained in the ovary. In the event of favorable pollination, where a compatible pollen reaches the stigma and eventually reaches the ovary to fuse with the ovules, this fertilized product from the fruit and the ovule becomes the seed of the fruit. Now, from the stigma, through the style, and when it reaches to the ovary, the pollen grains fuse with the ovules where the process of fertilization begins. And after the process of fertilization, the product is formed in the fruit, and the seed that we can see inside the fruit is known as ovules. Now moving on to the male parts of the flower. These are the main male parts of the flower, as you have seen in the picture, and also as I have told, the stamen is the male part of the flower. Many stamens are collectively known as androecium. They are structurally divided into two parts, that is filament and anther. Filament, the part that is long and slender and attach the anther to the flower. Anther, it is the head of the stamen and is responsible for producing the pollens, which is transferred to the pistil or female parts of the same or another flowering to bring about fertilization. Without stamen, it is impossible for the process of fertilization to begin. So, stamen is the responsible to produce the pollen grains. So, stamens can be found in many numbers in flower, but stigma, you can only find one stigma in a flower. Now, petals. This layer lies just above the sepal layer. They are often bright in color as their main function is to attract pollinators such as insects, butterflies, etc. to the flower. The petals are collectively known as corolla. As you have seen that petals are more colorful than any other parts because of its main function. Sepals. These are the small leaf-like parts growing at the base of the petals. They form the outmost core of the flower. Collectively, sepals are known as calyx. The main function of the calyx and its sepal is to protect the flower before it is blossomed, that is, when it is in birth stage. When the flower is in birth stage, it's like an infant where we need to care the most. So, the sepal protects it from external forces and until it is bloomed. Pedicels. It is a stem that attaches a single flower to the florescent. The function of pedicel is to expose flowers to the sun, wind, and put them in the position so their aroma and color attracts pollinating insects more easily. As you can see that we have many flowers standing upright, that is all due to pedicels because its function is to hold up a flower through the stem. Receptacles. It is that part of the flower to which the stalk is attached to. It is small and found at the center of the base of the flower. It is the thickened part of the stem from which the flower organs grow. Like underneath the sepal, we can see a very thick and strong joint which is known as receptacles. So a flower standing and holding all the petals is done by receptacles. So now this is the summary of my presentation. Like today in this session I have talked about the parts of flower, functions of parts of flower, that is each and every functions of every part: stigma, style, ovary, ovule, stamen, petal, sepal, pedicel, and receptacles. Thank you for watching my video tutorial, and if you have any doubt or if you want more information on the topic, you do contact me at www.wongmosanam678@gmail.com. Once again, thank you.